Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Nandu Saha Viryankaravavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti. Yes.
So in the last class that we were talking about whether reduction in agitation is a sign of growth. And you said it is not, but then there's another sign of growth.
No, I didn't say it is not a sign of growth. Suppose reduction in agitation is a sign of growth. But when you are going to make an assessment, you have to decide on, am I growing? I said, you can't rely on reduction of agitation as the factor, because it's not a reliable factor. Reduction of agitation, what we mean is, like we say, no, earlier, before coming to the Vedanta classes, I was getting angry. Now I'm not getting angry. Earlier, I used to cry. Now I'm not crying. Things like that. This is what we call as agitation. I said reduction of agitation, you cannot, because when you devolve also, your agitation will reduce. Remember, evolution means this. If evolution means moving towards more and more objective, sattva, love, etc., opposite of that is evolution. I said this many times. Opposite of love is not hatred. English language will say opposite of love is hate. Philosophy says no. Opposite of love is indifference. See, love means identification. You become indifferent towards the other. That is called opposite of love. So when you are indifferent also, you will not have any agitation. When you are in love also, you will not have any agitation. Then where agitation will be, sir? When you are attached, there will be agitation. If a relationship is causing you agitation, there is no need to think at all. Straight away, you can classify that as attachment. But then, in our understanding, I am growing spiritual means your portion of love should keep on increasing. One of the factors we take to say I am evolving. Or you have to call it as I am becoming more and more sattvic. Right. Opposite of sattva is what? Tamas. Where are you in between? Means rajas. Sattvikam, rajasam, tamasam. This is the three gunas. In this, you are spiritually growing means you are developing more and more of sattva. You are evolving spiritually means you are developing more and more of tamas. And one of the common factors for tamas and sattva is state of no agitation. That is why I said reduction of agitation you should not keep as a reference point. Because if you take that as a reference point, there is always a possibility to misunderstand. Instead of developing sattva guna, you may be developing tamo guna. And you will go on claiming what? I am not getting agitated. Therefore, evolving. Therefore, I said, don't take that as a reference point. But when you evolve, that rule is correct. When you grow spiritually, your agitations will reduce. That is correct. That is not wrong. But then, can you take that as a reference point? This is what I said last class. Can you take that as a reference point? I said, no, don't take that as a reference point. Then what to take as a reference point? Don't take that is one thing. Okay. Then what to take?
Something positive would be seen.
Correct.
Along with the reduction of desires. Would it be something like you see the evolution of better desires?
No better desire. Desire is a desire. It's like saying from C cell to A cell I'm shifting, sir. The jail, they have no. Bigger the crime you commit, better the cell you get. That's what you get in jail, Seriously, yeah? Laughing. Greater the crime, better the treatment. So if at all you decide to do any crime, don't do small. Don't quote me, yeah? We should have only said that, Better desires development is not a sign of growth at all. Desire is a desire, full stop. We don't care. There's no such thing as bad desire, good desire. All desires are bad. Period. Yes.
You don't worry about measuring it at all.
That is okay. I don't care. I don't worry about measuring at all. It's fine to, to tell a person who is getting so, involved in measuring. See, to him, you give that as an advice. But every time you can't say that, don't measure, don't measure, don't measure. Which means, I don't know. I don't have a measuring scale. Okay, therefore, I do what? It'll amount to that. See, instead of, saying, I don't know, I said, don't ask that question. No. This is correct. You can't get over anxious about your growth, which is desire, which is result orientation. Is what we call as don't be result oriented. Don't keep on, every week you don't come back and ask me, after the class, have I grown? Have I grown? Who will do all that? You go to the gym. Who will stand in front of the mirror? Keep checking, flexing their muscle. Who will stand there? The fellow who has been exercising for the last 15 years will never look at the mirror. The fellow who has come to it yesterday, last week he came and 4 days he didn't come. Right, because of the pain. All that thing he couldn't make it. Next week he comes, after 10 days in the gym, he will stand in front of the mirror and flex his muscle. Keep checking, how much it has grown. And you tell that fellow what? You one on his back and say, get onto the treadmill first. Then you can think of, all this. Correct. But then we should know how to measure your growth. You should have a proper yardstick to measure growth.
Theoretically, somebody could move from indifference to or maybe it's level of just something.
This is the only path. From tamas to rajas, from rajas to sattva, from sattva to transattva. This is the process of evolution. You cannot bypass it. It's like asking, is there a possibility for a child to become an adult without becoming a teenager? Bypassing teenager, can you become an adult? It is not possible. Same way, from tamas, you have to get into rajas. And then you go through the pain of rajas. You progress, but that progress comes with a heavy price. A point comes where the fellow asks, is my progress worth the price I paid? To him, sattva is introduced. If you introduce sattva directly to a fellow who is in tamas, he will not even understand what you are talking about. Similarly, to a person who is not established in sattva, to him you go and talk about trans-sattva. He can't understand. To a rajasic person, you talk about trans-sattva, he can't understand. So progress is only one method. Tamas to rajas. Rajas to sattva. Sattva to trans-sattva. There is no other way.
So from others, establishment will be one direction. There is no fallback.
He'll fall back. If you are not growing, this is the law of life. Either you are evolving or evolving. Either you are becoming richer day by day or you are becoming poorer day by day. There is no such thing called your economic status remains the same. Similarly, spiritual status also. Either you evolve or you devolve. Suppose if you say, I'm not evolving, sir, means you are devolving. See that? So that's no option. Evolution is not an option for you, we say. That's what Ramtita says. At Paylet's point, you have to turn to the higher. There's no option you have. At a gunpoint, if you are not, Shiva's Trishul will poke you. Will poke you with the Trishul. There's the agitations and all. Right? Identification with fellow humans more and more. That's love. They are asking, the question is, how do you know your identification is increasing? That is a question we are asking actually. There's an answer by another person. How can you measure the growth, sir? By knowing your identification. Identifying more and more. Now again, I have to ask you the question, how do you know your identification? Which is nothing but love. Identification is another word of love. Right? So again, we have to ask the question, how do you know that you are enlarging your love? Back to square one. Because again, it is a matter of debate. You see, you can debate it. What is the meaning of love can be debated and it keeps on changing for us, isn't it? For me itself, it keeps changing. Because the way I love my mother is totally different from the way I love my wife, the way I love my sister, I love my daughter, my brother, my neighbor. Then it goes into a lot of gray areas, confusing things. We want, I want to know now. Straight away, I have to know, am I evolving or not? Have I evolved or not? To some point till now. Say about 2 years back and today. Have I progressed? Spiritual evolution means only one thing. Remember that. There is no change in this. Factor is reduction of desires. Very peculiar. Here, growth means reduction, not increase. Reduction of desires. But unfortunately, we cannot be clear and sure about my desires have been suppressed or sublimated. Because we can't know the difference. Maybe I have suppressed my desires. Or as she says, I've just replaced it with a better desire. Right? More productive desire. Unproductive desires I leave, productive desires I promote. You can't call that as reduction at all. You're only replacing. Replacement is not reduction. So, reduction of desires is the actual growth. But if I have to measure it, we don't recommend that by saying I would see my consequence. The consequence of reduction of desire is visible the moment you check your concentration power. Most reliable factor. Straight away you can know whether you are evolving or not. No other parameter. Because what is making you to lose your focus, concentration is your desires and attachment, isn't it? Why you are not able to concentrate? Because of desires, because of your attachments. Spiritual evolution means what? I'm reducing my desires, which means that which is causing a disturbance to my concentration, all the obstacles I am removing. The factors which are taking my concentration away, my focus away, I'm removing means what? What should happen automatically? My ability to concentrate should increase, isn't it? That's why we say, which is a positive one. As a byproduct, what will be happening? Agitations will reduce and all that. That is also all that is a byproduct. I'll become efficient, I'll get this, get that, success, prosperity, all that is byproduct. Your peace and prosperity is a byproduct of your spiritual evolution. That is not the main product. Main product of your evolution is what? Reduction of desires. The mark of reduction of desires is increase in your concentration. Now again comes a very interesting one to identify. Concentration means what? You don't need some, huge definitions and all that. Concentration should be decided based on what? Concentration means ability to focus on in the present experience or present action. You're focused in the present action, you are having concentration. And if you want to measure the strength of your concentration, which one you will take? Which action you will take? Which experience you will take? All your actions were performed driven by desires, likes and dislikes. Desires means what? Likes and dislikes. So, if concentration means the mind backing the action, you will find in the areas of your liking, mind will stay behind the action. areas of your disliking, mind will not stay behind the action. It's as simple as that. Therefore, we think what? If I have to concentrate, what I have to do? Find out the area of liking. This is the advice, isn't it? Choose a field of, the child, comes and says, what I have to study. Study the field you like. And the problem with the like is what? Changes like that. Isn't it? How many people we have seen? I myself have seen. A cousin who stayed with me to study chemistry. He says, one subject I was hating at school was chemistry. Till 9th standard. 9th standard, she got one teacher, chemistry teacher. She got so hooked onto that chemistry, she went right up to doing PhD. Now, chemistry she was disliking at one point. Suddenly, she developed a liking for chemistry. And it's just a question of time. This liking can turn into a dislike. Or develop another like. Then what will happen? I have a liking for Vedanta, Gita class. Also, I have a liking for watching a football match. Now what happens? Both comes at the same time. Now what are you going to do? You will say what? If I don't go, this fellow will ask what to do. So I'll go and sit in the class. You will come and sit in the class, but where is your mind now? Football match. Your friend goes to the football match. He says, if he asks, I'll tell him I was sick. He will not know. You can give answer to each other, but football match, you can't afford to this. So I'll go and sit there. When he's sitting there, what is he thinking? Last class he said, he will tell us the answer. Any answer tomorrow? You don't know the answer, but anyway, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It must be, giving answer. It should be available in this one, or if not, we'll ask them. They'll send us the link. We can get it. What is the problem? It's okay. By then, suddenly everybody's screaming there. Oh, oh, oh. And where you are watching? The screen. Lot of fellows come to the cricket match. I've seen that here. All these IPL and this one. No, I go. Hardly I was watching the match now. I'll be watching all the fellows around. They're talking. Conversation goes on. Suddenly this fellow comes. Huh? What happened? What happened? And then they show the screen. Wow. Half the match you watch only where? In the big screen. I said first they should stop the big screen in the stadium. You want to watch on the screen, sit in the house. Any number of replays will come with the commentary. No commentary, nothing. What's happening there? It will be the rule. I can't understand why they have, the line board there, this one, that one, all. Based on the fellows who are sitting there actually. You pay to the nose to get the ticket to watch live. There you keep looking at the screen. What's happening to him? You are in the field of liking only. But still, very able to stay focused. One conversation, one discussion, one thing. Lot of times we see the batsman get out. They play so well, fantastic they are playing. Do this, does all those things. Tea break. He goes in, comes out. Within 15 minutes, he gets out. Why? They say what? Technically speaking, after 25-30 overs of staying in the field, technically you cannot get out. Why? You know why? Technically. Sir. You see the ball as what? You see the ball as football size. Now imagine I am throwing a football and you have to knock with your bat. How can you miss that? How can you miss a football? Technically, they say you cannot, but still what happens? It running between the wickets. The foot movement is not happening. Is not happening. That's not happening. Why? Even in the field of your liking, there is no necessity that the mind would be behind the action. That is why we say that mind staying behind the action in the field of liking cannot be equated to concentration. Then what is happening there? It is just a mental indulgence, that's all. They are just indulging mentally, that's about it. They are not concentrating. So concentration you can get only from your reduction of desires. Only then the mind slipping into things will not happen. There are other situations where you do get concentration. It will appear as having a better concentration. For example, classroom. Inside this classroom, you will appear to be having focus on the class. Same class you watch on YouTube. Same class you listen only audio. Same. Right. When you are listening to the audio only, no videos. That's why a lot of people say, sir, with the video on YouTube is better. Why? With audio, what happens? Mind slips. See, only audio, mind slips. So, you claiming to be experiencing concentration in the class, is it because of you? It's not because of you. Then who? Because of who then? Because of a person sitting there. Because of the environment. That personality is so arresting, you are hooked onto that. Right? Once that personality moves out, what happens to your strength? You lose the whole thing. It's exactly like iron beams in the presence of a inside that magnetic field. When an iron piece comes to the magnetic field, this iron piece also gets little power. Doesn't it? It seems to be having that power of attraction. Similarly, when you are having a particular environment, you may be experiencing it, but that's not yours. So, how do you determine the strength of your concentration? Point number 1. Eliminate areas of your strong like, strong dislike. Point number 2. Eliminate a charging environment. Remove them. Then where you should go? Find out the areas of neither a like nor a dislike and see what happens to you in that experience. Were you able to stay behind that? We don't have that. This is why we give, as people to go for this music concerts. See, music concert, when you go, there's no interval, Movie you go, there's an interval. In a music concert, there is no interval. At a stretch, right? This is the best area to identify your ability to concentrate. See, you continuously they have to, performance happens. And don't go if you have a dislike towards that music. If, for example, you go for this rock and roll, right? Rock and roll, I can't appreciate. I just can't, that's about it. So if I go there, what will happen? I have a tremendous flair and interest in Carnatic music. Therefore, when I go to Carnatic music, what will happen? Automatic focus. I go to pop music, automatic out. So we say, don't take both. Take a light music. Mohammed Rafi. It's neither. See, it's neutral. Kishore Kumar. Listen to Kishore Kumar or Mohammed Rafi. How is that? Very able to stay. How long you are able to stay behind that? Neutral. And what is the difference between you are concentrating or you are indulging? Television, you watch. What happens after a period of time when you watch a TV? TV, any program, doesn't matter. In TV, you watch a TV. Realize one thing when you watch TV. That's why it's called idiot box. You know that now? TV. You don't blink. Exactly. Correct. You heard me, is it? How come, she suddenly became like, bullseye. Copy. Fact is fact. That's all. Nothing can be done. When you watch TV, beyond a point, you stop blinking. That is called indulgence. In concentration, you will continue to blink. That's how we identify. Either there is concentration or there is indulgence. Mental indulgence. If you go on blinking, you'll fall off to sleep. You know that? So you people don't know this, is it? When you have trouble to sleep, the way to fall to sleep is continuously blink for 1 minute. Rapid blinking for 1 minute. There are techniques. The second technique. A lot of techniques we have. To wake up, we don't have a technique. There is only one technique. Wife. Only one is enough. Sleep is need a lot of techniques. One of the techniques is blinking. When you blink rapidly, your eyes will get tired. You fall off to sleep. This is one way. The best method is Vedanta. Vedanta treatise. Open the book. 20 seconds is too much. The sentence you read, you are out. The difference between whether a person is concentrating or a person is indulging. Because it will look very close, that mental intelligence. When you indulge also, it will appear as you are in the present. Mind times comes to the present, wherever there is a strong liking. That cannot be treated as concentration. So the moment you have that concentration, what will happen, sir? Reduction of desires will produce concentration. Cause is reduction of desires, effect is concentration. Then concentration becomes the cause. Effect is what? Consistency. Meditation, I will see later. Straight you want to go to meditation. Yeah, realization. Go step by step. First standard, second standard, third standard. That's how you have to go. Concentration, when you have it, the effect of concentration is you become consistent. Consistent in sentence is not complete. You become consistent in what? Pursuing the goal that you have. See, today there is no consistency in the effort of the pursuit. Isn't it? Want to grow, sir, but what to do? You get lost. Because you start your spiritual effort with what I want to realize, I want to grow. That's how you start. So the moment you start putting in effort. The moment you start putting in effort, over a period of time, what happens? You deviate. The deviation can be happening for various reasons, whatever it is. We don't care about what all the things that deviate you from the path. But essentially, what it means is you have moved away from the goal, from the pursuit of the goal, from the effort that you put in to reach to the goal. So, reduction of desire is equal to evolution. Means reduction of desire's effect is concentration. Concentration should promote your consistency in the pursuit. The pursuit should get more and more consistent. If consistency is not happening, then go backwards. No concentration. Why no concentration, sir? Desires, attachment, selfishness. That's all. This is a far better way of identity. Then comes how do I reduce my desires and all that. That's an independent thing to study. How do you reduce your desires? Is through the practice of karma yoga. Karma alone can help you to reduce your desires, nothing else. Effort you want to put to grow. Starting point is what? You have to do that practice. that Karma Yoga reduce your number of desires. Thereby, your concentration will increase. Increased concentration will express itself as consistency in your pursuit. That where are we? Verse 4. Yeah.
Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadam murtina vasthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadam murtina Vasthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavastitaha
All this world is pervaded by me in the unmanifested form. All beings dwell in me and I do not dwell in them. All this world is pervaded by me. How it's pervaded by me? How? Avyaktamurti. In the unmanifested form. So, he's starting now. Till now, first 3 verses, he just gave a build-up for what is the glory of the knowledge. Now he is starting to spell out the knowledge, which he gave in the 7th chapter. He is only elaborating what he gave in the 7th chapter. There he gave 2 aspects, 2 natures, para and apara. Higher nature of Brahman, lower nature of Brahman. Or you can take it as God. The easier way to understand would be. But then Brahman is not equivalent to what we understand as God. But we take it as synonymous terms for want of word. So para and apara. Para nature and apara prakriti is it. Now that's the same thing he is explaining now. So he is starting to give us this. One of the essential dimension of philosophy is to explain the relationship between God and world. Philosophy, when you say religion, philosophy, spiritual, it is supposed to be educating us on something. Right? Physics is supposed to educate you on something. Isn't it? Music educates on something. Similarly, philosophy has a domain. What is that? It is supposed to explain what is Jiva, who is that Jiva, and then what is God, what is the nature of world. So it explains what is the world, Jagat, then the Jiva, and then the self, God, Brahman. Then what is samsara and what is the way to get out of samsara. What is moksha? And in explaining all these things, it is also explains what is the relationship between the three fellows. So the three: Jiva, Jagat, Brahman, or they call it as Ishvara. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. What is their relationship? Now Krishna is explaining that part here. What is the relationship between the world and God? Jagat and Ishvara. First line. Second line, he clubs Jiva and Jagat together. He includes Jiva as Jagat only. So wherever he says world, what we need to understand, it includes Jiva plus Jagat. Inclusion. You are also included in it. Right? You are not excluded for this discussion. But the moment when it comes to moksha and samsara and all those things, there Jagat will be kept out and only Jiva only will be discussed. So these are the primary concepts explained in any philosophy. Any form of philosophy you got to ask them only these questions. In your philosophy, no point in asking what's your philosophy of life. People ask this question. I don't know for that. What's your philosophy of life? 10th, I say. Life gets completion only in 10th, no. So ask me after I die. There's no meaning in that. See, philosophy, you should know what to ask. Technically trained people should know what to ask. Otherwise, you are just an amateur. You see, what you should ask is, according to this philosophy, what is that you call as moksha? Define the first. Right. Liberation. What is liberation according to your philosophy? What is the nature of God according to your philosophy? What is the nature of samsara according to your philosophy? What is it that you call as samsara? Worldly life means what? Breathing in the world is called worldly life. That means only way you can release yourself is how? Huh? Suicide done. There's no other option. You see, that is why we ask people on these fundamental questions. All that sampradayas we have, no? All of them are different only because of these things. And when it comes to, should you be following ahimsa or not? Everybody will say yes. Right? Even a terrorist will say, I should do ahimsa. What? You practice ahimsa. You should practice ahimsa. Or is it, I'll hit you, you should keep quiet. You should not hit me back. If you hit back, what happens to me? I get annoyed. Should you steal or not? See, this is not philosophy at all, remember. This is not the subject matter of philosophy. This is a subject matter of social. You see, I was just watching a movie. Some catastrophe happened, it seems, in the world. And world population was reduced to only 1 million. And that 1 million also, they survived catastrophe, but all of them lost their eyesight. I thought that, anybody saw that? No. You don't have Apple TV. Well, it's a CD. I didn't know that. But it was fascinating to imagine actually. And After 100 years, they say, talking about eyesight is what? Mythology. Seeing is mythology for them. See, they have a society, they have a house, they have a war. One tribe fights with the other tribe. All that happens. Only thing is what? All blind. Very interesting. All blind people. They can't see anything. After a point, we say, what is this? Ethics is a matter of social, remember. You see, it's nothing to do with, there's no absolution in ethics. It keeps changing, it keeps varying according to time, place, situation. You can't fix. Some certain things they say, yes, most of the time you should practice this. But at times you have to do this also, that also. That's not the subject matter of philosophy at all, actually. That's why, when this, Western people started reading Upanishads, Vedas, they could not consider this as philosophy because there is no ethics. In fact, you read Bhagavad Gita, where is ethics in Bhagavad Gita? If at all ethics were to be there in Bhagavad Gita, it is Arjuna who speaks of ethics, not Krishna. So those who follow ethics will take the side of Arjuna, not Krishna. So they couldn't understand. How can you have a system of philosophy where there is no discussion on ethics? Brahma Sutra, authority. Upanishads, authority. Where is ethics in that? Huh? There is no ethics there. And these fellows are talking everything apart from ethics. And in the West, they cannot conceive philosophy minus their entire philosophy revolves around ethics only. Social. Here, he said no. That's a different subject. It is not that the society was living unethical life, remember. No. Ethics were discussed. Where? As a separate one. Not in philosophy. In philosophy, we discuss these factors. One of the things he takes is this. What is the relationship? So one group of people started thinking. They said, what's the connection, sir? They said, see, the whole world cannot just come by itself. Not possible. Right? A clay can exist by itself. But a clay cannot become a pot by itself, isn't it? How is it possible? How is it that suddenly everything is what I'm not saying. Thomas Alva Edison said. Edison was traveling the train. There's a fellow who's traveling along with him in the train. Saw Edison reading Bible. Said, you are a scientist, you are reading Bible. How can you? Thinking almost like, what happened to you? Are you gone off? Because scientists should not be reading these things and all those things. Because there's no such thing, man. You establish everything is on cause effect, cause effect, cause effect. Now suddenly, where is God coming into picture? And the started the discussion with Edison said, don't worry, come tomorrow. We will have a separate discussion. Right now, let me complete the work. Come and meet me. And we gave him a. The fellow came next day. And in the reception, Edison was standing. And this man came and he said, yesterday, we met in the train. He said, yeah, yeah, wait. And he was standing and staring at something, staring at it. He said, how is this? How is this? You're staring at this. What you were staring was the replica of the Sun family, the planets and Sun and all that, the replica of that was there. Standing there is this. Possible. Possible. I can't believe it. This man also was standing there and staring at it. He was standing from this angle, that angle. He couldn't find out anything. He thought maybe some constellation calculation he's making, something and all that. Edison said, no, not this, not this, not this. Then finally he said, sir, please tell me, what are you amazed about? This. Then, yesterday, I brought all this. I am the one who purchased. Got all those things and kept it in the trunk box. And today morning I'm coming, it's all there. I was stunned. Who is this man said, what is so great about it? Somebody must have put it. And she said, if replica itself needs somebody to be placing it, and you are telling me original came by itself. Miniature. Oh, I saw, one of our person here in Bangalore. He has made a replica of Vidhan Soda. That Vidhan Soda is there, no? You shrink it. That's the one. And he has made Tirumala, Tirupati, with the mountain. You shrink it. It's there. The Tirumala, when I saw, I asked him, what did you do for Venkatachalapati? Venkatachalapati, what you did inside the temple. Unbelievable art, I say. And he was explaining, to me. So how he does that? How many pictures he has to take? How he measures the things? And proportionately, you got to what amount of calculation? I think that miniature is there in Vedanta, so what he has created is there. By itself, miniature can't come by itself. How do you think original will come by itself? So therefore what? There must be a creator. Makes sense, no? Correct. So, world is the creator, God is the creator. Exactly like there is a pot, there has to be a pot maker. This is a relationship, one relationship. But then what is the problem in that relationship? Pot maker. That we don't have to worry. That is pot maker's problem. Right? In this relationship itself, there is a problem there. Essential problem is a pot maker should have an intention for pot making. Similarly, world maker should have an intention for world making. So we are attributing an intention to the creator to create the world. What is the intention? Then you got to debate. Therefore, they said, this is not a complete explanation because it is having a lacuna. This is what philosophy is. You say, no, Raja Vidya. Raja Vidya. It's a royal knowledge. There is a pot maker, correct. A pot cannot come by itself. There has to be a pot maker. But then the problem is what? The pot maker should be having an intention in making a pot. Whatever the intention could be, good, bad, indifferent, but there has to be an intention. So we are superimposing an intention on God. He said, no, that is not correct. Then came another set. Further inquiry. They said, no. See, it's not like a pot maker making a pot. It's not like that. You're not understanding it properly. And the world and God, the relationship is like you and the body. The body is there, no? In body, you have a hand, you have a legs, you have face, you have ears, nose, eyes. All these parts are there, no? That is the world. The total body is God. Now what happens? This sounds far more. Now, there is no difference, but at the same time, there is a difference. In the first case, what is it, sir? Totally different. What is different? What maker is different. This is Dvaita philosophy. Dvaita, that's why this is different, that is different. I'm not going into other details and all that. Don't get, don't ask me to go into the other details. Other details, no, you'll be lost. Vasishtha Dvaita says the next one. Here, the relationship is what? It's like the body and the parts. Now, the part of the body is body, no? From one angle. From another angle, part of the body is not the body. This is a relationship. Then came the third fellows. There's one more I'll give. Advaita will do last. Advaita is what he gives you. So confusing that is. These are little easier at least. World is just like a part of his total body. So there is no distinction between God and world, but still there is a difference. God is world, but world is not God. You will see that. That's what it will appear as though Krishna is referring to that. You see here, very, very interesting. So this verse, how you read is, we read this verse in two parts. First line, independent. Second line of verse 4 and verse 5. That we should study together. Only then we'll get the idea of what is the total message. If you stop only at this, you are totally lost. You will come to only this conclusion. What is the conclusion? Body and body parts. That is this one. Now, the body parts, what is the problem? You get a headache, right? The pain is experienced where you say only headache. You don't say back pain, toothache, no, you don't say. You say what? Headache. But total body goes to rest, no? Isn't it? You don't say only that part is a problem. No, other parts can function properly, sir. So I'll continue to do my work. No. Part and the body problem is what? If it is part of it, what will be the scenario? If any problem in the part will have a an impact, a saying on the total. You can't say no. No. That is not the case. Therefore, we say what? This is also not complete. This is also wanting. So Dvaita out, Vasishtha Advaita also out. Why? We are all Vedantists. If actually Vedanta includes all that, it's not excluding. Vedanta is a study of all this put together. People think, Vedanta means only Advaita. No. It is a different layer of understanding. You have to graduate. See, initial thing is what? You have to understand world is there, God is somewhere. And then you have to understand what? God is part of the world. He's there, right in front of you. Don't think, he's sitting somewhere in the clouds. Then you have another group of people who say, world itself is God. That also we don't agree. There's another group which says, now what you see as nature, no, that is God. This is another set of people. You say, how can the world be equivalent to God? Why? Because world is finite. It's not infinite. World is finite. How do you say world is finite? What happened to the solid world when you go to sleep? Does it come there? When you go to deep sleep, what happens to this world? Off. Totally gone. So, the world is existing so long as you are in the waking state. The moment you move out of the waking state, where is this world? Okay. Remember, Vedanta philosophy is addressed to individual. Remember that. This is addressed to an individual, not to a congregation. You see, it's not to a congregation. Even if there is a congregation, it is addressed to that individual only. So if you take a total, then you are out. Then you will lose the reference point. The context of philosophy is to individual, because it is individual who is having that inquiry. Right? Not to the total. So the moment you go there, the world, the nature is God. Sattvada, this is another group of people. So like that, we have very many groups are there. We find one by one. Say, no, not this, not this, not this. So he says, first thing he says, the relationship. Now what he is explaining is, he said, I had this para prakriti, apara prakriti there. Now he is elaborating it to the relationship between world, God, to Jagat, which includes Jiva also, to Ishvara or Brahman. So world and God, what is the relationship, sir? He says, first relationship is all this world is pervaded by me. He says, in the form, in the which form? In the unmanifested form. Shantakaram, Bhujaga Sayanam. You heard that, no? Bhujaga Sayanam means what? No pillow, poor fellow. Means he has kept his hand itself as a pillow and sleeping. Shantakaram, Bhujaga Sayanam, Padmanabham, Suresham. Where is it? How is it? Beautiful serpent. So, Vishnu is lying on what? Serpent. So, if Vishnu is sleeping on serpent, then what is the foundation for Vishnu? Adhara. This is a serpent, isn't it? You are sitting on a chair. Means what? Chair is supporting you. So, chair is supporting you means the chair is bigger than you. Because why you are able to sit? Because of the chair. If there is no chair, how can you sit? So, Vishnu is sleeping on the serpent with his hands as a pillow. Go to sleep. As a dancers, we would say. The first coil spring mattress. Vishnu's mattress is a coil spring mattress. Best mattress in the world. Can you believe it? Spring mattress. Suddenly he puts a twist there. Vishwadaram Gagana Sadrish. Hey. Now what is it? Oh no. He appeared to be sleeping on the serpent, but he is the foundation for what? For Vishwa. Vishwa means what? Includes the serpent also. He is the Adhara. Don't think serpent is holding in place. No. He is the Adhara. He is the real boss. Yes. That's what he is giving here. All this world is provided by me. The whole world is provided by me. As what? In the unmanifested form, not in the manifested form like what you people see. Bhujaka Sayanamla, no, not in that way. A lot of people have that, There's some cow also you would have seen, people drawing pictures, all the Devatas pictures inside the cow's body. It's all there inside. So, no such thing, please. Don't think he's here, he is there, he is there, that is there. I think of that sort. But he is there. How? In an unmanifested form. That's what he says. Avyaktam. Vyaktam means perceptible form, but it's not a perceptible form. See, form itself means what? Perceptible, no. But he says what? It is a imperceptible form, beyond the senses. You cannot get it through the senses. How do you understand it? That's why they give the example. With the example, it becomes easy. Like how butter pervades the milk. How the butter is existing in the milk. From where you got the butter is only from the milk. But where is it? Can you pinpoint? You can't pinpoint. But butter is in the milk only. Similarly, God is in the world. But can you pinpoint him? You cannot pinpoint. But you can extract God out of the world. That is possible. Through a particular process, you can extract God. Similarly, through a particular process of spiritual disciplines, you can extract the knowledge of God. You can see God. How he is pervading in the world. But even if you understand there is butter in the milk, you cannot show to me. Okay, are you seeing butter in the milk? Anybody sees butter in the milk? If you say yes, then go and check a doctor. Ophthalmologist first, and then go to other doctors. They'll recommend. You can't see that. See, even if you know, you cannot see butter in the milk. Similarly, you understand God is. Where is the music coming from? Whose phone is this? Now sleeping. The class. At least before the class, you should be awake. You switch it off. Or put it in silent mode. Don't put it in vibrating. Switch it off. Mentally you can't switch off. At least mobile you can switch off. Even though you know there is butter in the milk, forget about you showing me. You yourself cannot see it. Isn't it? But then you can extract butter from milk. Same way, you cannot see God. That's what he says. That's what the meaning of avyakta. Vyaktam means perceptible to the senses. Vyaktam. That's the meaning of vyakta. Avyakta. In Sanskrit, if you put a in the, if you prefix, it becomes non. So avyakta means not perceptible. So imperceptible to the senses. You cannot see God, you cannot smell God, you cannot taste God, you cannot touch God. You can't do anything with God. So we find a lot of people saying, I saw God. I had breakfast with him. Seriously. I got the video. Fellow sent me. And God gave me that CD, fellow says. Because he sent his new album. He sent it to God, it seems. So God saw that there and he found it very interesting. He said, okay, go and give it to the world. So I got approval, he says. It's like saying, a fellow comes and says, I saw butter in the milk. You cannot. No way you can see butter in milk. It is imperceptible. That's what he says. I am a manifest. Then comes the statement. Says, all beings dwell in me. And I do not dwell in them. How the relationship starts. What is the relationship between God and world? Brahman and world says. All beings. Now what he is giving here is the relationship between the two from two different angles. First, he gives the relationship like the rope and snake. That example, the snake is in the rope. The rope is not in the snake. Isn't it? The snake is in the rope. So the first one is from two statements he is giving. All beings dwell in me. They are all in me. All. Next one is, I do not dwell in them. The rope says, the snake is in me. I am not in the snake. The ocean says, the waves are in me. I am not in the wave. Correct? How can you say the whole wave, whole ocean is in the wave? Even in tsunami wave also. Just a minuscule part of the ocean only comes as a wave, even in tsunami. It's not there. But at the same time, the truth is what? This is where it is so interesting. We'll come back to it. We'll just read the verse 5 also, and then we'll come back. Then you can understand much better. At least I can confuse you better. Verse 5.
Nacha matshani bhutani pashyami yogamaishwaram bhutahan nacha bhutaskha Mahatma Bhuta Pavanaha Nacha Matstani Bhutani Pashyami Yogamaishwaram Bhuta Brahma Cha Bhutasthaha Mamatma Bhuta Bhavanaha.
Nor do beings dwell in me. Behold my divine yoga, bringing forth and supporting beings. Myself does not dwell in them. What will do? Go back to verse 4. Second line. First line, oh, forget. Second line. All beings dwell in me. I do not dwell in them. Nor do beings dwell in me. Just now we said, all beings dwell in me. Right? I exist in all the world. Say first sentence. Second sentence. All beings dwell in me, but I do not dwell in them. Third sentence says, not do beings dwell in me. The beings don't dwell in me. Fulla Potter. Must have had, full. Only then you can talk like this. Otherwise, that's what a fellow read this Bhagavad Gita, no? This, Max Miller, or no? Who said that? Max Miller, no? Blabberings of early, humanity. The blabbering, Bethel. Hey, see, you say that after, 50, 60 verses later or something, you can say, slipped there, forgot. You made that mistake. Next breath, because what you have to imagine is we are chanting. Krishna was not chanting, he was speaking. Okay, it's a statement. Fourth verse, second line, and the fifth verse, first line is what? In continuation, no? Just he is continuing. First thing, they all dwell in me, but I don't dwell in them. Oh, correct, sir. Suddenly he says what? Not they do dwell in me. That is how they teach. This is the style of teaching. You may say, why they are confusing like that? Why can't they say directly? It's easier, no. Say, you will not understand. This is what I said. We will start as Rajavidya, conclude as Rajaguhya. Secret only. No, still you will not understand. What is this? These two verses, he splits it so beautifully. Why he splits this? The fourth verse, there's a direct contradiction. How it appears as contradiction is because the first one is spoken from the point of people who are in illusion. Right? The second one is in the standpoint of reality. From the standpoint of a person who is seeing the snake. Verse 4. Verse 5. From the point of view who is seeing the rope. When you say there is a snake in the rope, huh? Is there a snake in the rope? No. But to that boy, what you will say? Another difference. If you don't understand this, that's where we say, you need the proper guide to decode these things. But for those masters who have expounded it, we wouldn't have made any sense out of it. It's impossible to make any sense out of it. The moment you say this, then it becomes very simple. Oh, that's all correct. Then you will say what? Yeah, what Krishna says is correct. Initially you say he is blabbering. Now you say what? What a profound statement. You switch from this extreme to this extreme. You understand the greatness, how he beautifully splits that in two verses. In that split, we understand. What is it? This is the difference. This is from the Maya Drishti. Another one is from Sadrishti. When you are in that, beings dwell in me. Correct? From the point of view of what? Relative. Relative standpoint. From the absolute standpoint, beings don't dwell in me. Exactly, like I told you, any things you have, immediately go to dream. Right? In the dream, the waker's mind says, I pervaded the entire dream in unmanifest form. Correct? Correct? No? Right. Then the entire dream is on the waker's mind. Correct. But the waker's mind is not in the dream. The entire waker's mind is not in the dream. No. Waker's mind is far, 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 far vast compared to the minuscule part of the waker's mind, which is appearing in the dream, which has made the dreamer, the dream world, etc. All this is just a figment, a small part of it. Correct. After waking up, what he says? Is the dream in the waker's mind? No, dream is not in the waker's mind. That's what he says. It is existing, the dream is existing in the waker's mind. Also, the dream is not existing in the waker's mind. From the dreamer's point of view, dream exists in the waker's mind. From the waker's point of view, the dream is not in the waker's mind. Therefore, he says, nor do beings dwell in me. Rest of the verse we'll see. Right? Remember the three statements. Okay? We'll redo it in the next class. Remind me to explain it further. We'll catch up because we're tired. See you next class.